This morning at 5 a.m., the Met Office gave an update on Tropical Storm Jerry. On the forecast track, the system will near the northern Leeward Islands Thursday night or Friday. Maximum sustained winds have increased to near 45 miles per hour with higher gusts. Further strengthening is forecast during the next couple of days, and Jerry is expected to become a hurricane by the time it moves near the northern Leeward Islands. Residents and the public should begin to put plans in place and monitor the progress of this system. As a preliminary measure, 2 shelters have been identified and are being prepared to be opened. They are the Christian Fellowship Church in Coal Bay and the Milton Peters College in Southry Ward. More information will be forthcoming as to when persons can make use of these facilities. Again, as a preliminary measure, 2 shelters have been identified and are being prepared to be opened. The Christian Fellowship Church in Coal Bay and the Milton Peters College in Southry Ward. More information will be forthcoming as to when these shelters will be, the timing of these shelters. As Prime Minister and Chairperson of the EOC, I will convene a meeting at 5:30 p.m. this afternoon. Following the meeting, an update will be given, so I encourage persons to stay tuned and monitor the official government media outlets for the latest information on the approaching weather. And I thank you, Minister Smith, for making that clarification also to the public as it relates to schools. So indeed, use the government's official media outlet for that information. As it relates to the Integrity Chamber, at the end of January 2019, Mr. Raphael Boseman and Mr. Hans Lodder were appointed as members of the Integrity Chamber of St. Martin. Following their appointment, the members proceeded to recruit personnel for the Secretariat. The recruitment procedure was able to deliver all the required personnel needed. A screening by the VDSM was necessary for all personnel of the Secretariat. The screening procedure took 8 weeks for each person screened. All personnel have now been screened and the appointment resolutions are being finalized. The process to find a suitable candidate for chairperson has also been initiated by the 2 appointed members. As of mid-July, a suitable candidate has been identified. This candidate is presently being screened by the VDSM. After the screening has been completed, the members will nominate the candidate chairperson for appointment by the Kingdom Council of Ministers. Additionally, both St. Martin and the Netherlands have identified candidates to be appointed as members of the Supervisory Council. The process is still ongoing. Once appointed, these members will nominate a candidate for chairperson of the Supervisory Council. The Integrity Chamber will start functioning only after all members, including the chairperson of the Integrity Chamber, as well as the Supervisory Council, has been appointed and the personnel of the Secretariat are appointed by national decree. SDG flag raising ceremony. On behalf of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Government of St. Martin has facilitated the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals for several years. This year, we will be celebrating the SDGs 2030 Agenda by hoisting the SDGs flag for the first time on Wednesday, September 25, 2019, together with the municipalities and many other United Nations member states. The UN has committed to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030 with the objective of eradicating extreme poverty, hunger, and many areas of importance that affect the well-being of communities. In addition to government, several organizations in St. Martin have engaged in the SDGs 2030 agenda and have worked diligently towards the 2030 themes in anticipation of achieving these global goals. We would like to recognize the 2030 agenda along with all the activities and achievements executed on St. Martin with the objective of becoming a more sustainable country. In addition to hoisting the flag, we will display several best practices in relation to SDGs that were executed on St. Martin by premiering a SDG Expressions documentary. This is an 8-minute film of the works of 2 high schools which connected the SDGs through the various art forms. An update on the airport. in reference to the remarks of the Minister of Finance, I would like to personally thank Minister Healings and the National Recovery Program Bureau for their efforts to finalize the different legal agreements on the financing of the reconstruction of our airport. With the help of the World Bank, the European Investment Bank, the airport's bondholders, the airport bondholders, and the government of the Netherlands, I remain confident that we will build back our airport. Earlier this year, the Council of Ministers made the conscious decision to appoint the Minister of Finance as the lead in the negotiations on the financing of the airport. The Minister has been supported in this role by the National Recovery Bureau and an excellent legal team. The decision to appoint the Minister of Finance was made in light of the complex financial nature of the negotiations and the implications for the budget of the country of St. Martin. At this point, I would also like to thank the Minister of TEAT, Minister Stuart Johnson, and their different key stakeholders of the airport for their ongoing support of the Minister of Finance and the NRPB in bringing negotiations to a close. At the end of the day, we all want the exact same thing, a fully reconstructed airport that can continue to grow in its function as regional hub. As Prime Minister and Chair of the Council of Ministers, I will continue to do everything in my power to protect our critical economic infrastructure and to do what is right to ensure a bright future for this country.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
As I understand, the topic of the public meeting is a meeting that was initially called in November of 2018. At a time when the situation with the fires at the dump seemed to be flaring up more often than not. As I understand it, the subject of this meeting is a discussion about the results on the survey regarding the dump fumes and the health hazards this carries. I'd like to go into a little general background and then some other information. General background, the issue of the fumes or the emission of the dump from the dump has everything to do with the occurrences of fires on the landfill and the smoke that the fires emit. To begin with, any kind of fire with emission causes hazardous effects to human health if this is inhaled or ingested over time. This is the case with, for example, when inhaling cigarette smoke, with emissions from running vehicles, or when inhaling any other kind of burning of material that can take place. The extent of the hazard to health is a factor of the type of emissions and the duration of the extent of the exposure to the emission, but also on the state of health of the persons that are inhaling the emission, Persons with certain health conditions will suffer more from exposure to emission than persons without any pre-existing health conditions. Fires cause the dump material to burn, which causes emissions, and the type of emissions is dependent on the type of materials that are burning. In essence, the type of waste at the landfill is mostly household waste. But for the same token, there's no real separation that takes place, with the exception of some materials like tires, some metals, and some wood pallets. So therefore, the exact contents of the waste at the landfill is not very well known. There are other materials that are also deposited at the landfill, such as some paints and batteries. And of course, since Hurricane Irma, there was a wider array of debris deposited, especially at the so-called Irma landfill. Some materials are very hazardous, while some are less hazardous in terms of emissions they cause when they burn. I hope we can all agree that when there are no fires, the incidence of emissions is not a severe problem at the landfill. There are basically two kinds of fires that occur on the landfill, namely the open surface fires and the underground fires due to the smoldering of the garbage that takes place below the surface of the dump. For a good perspective, it is good to understand the reasons for fires and what it takes for fires to start and to exist. In essence, there are three elements needed for a fire, namely fuel, oxygen, and ignition. In the absence of any of these three elements, a fire cannot exist. In the case of the dump, we can agree that there is an abundance of oxygen. Sorry, thank you. Thank you. There's an abundance of oxygen in the open air that will stimulate a fire with sufficient fuel to continue to burn if there is an ignition. In terms of fuel, any kind of combustible material, anything that can burn, amounts to a fuel for a fire. Much of the garbage that is deposited at the dump can be considered fuel. Because most of the material dumped there can burn, maybe some can burn faster, such as paper and wood debris, while some can burn much longer, such as tires and other rubber materials. But only inert material, such as steel and dirt, cannot simply burn. This may be different from the example, for example, paint and other coating that may exist on steel, which can burn and can even be very toxic if it burns. So in essence, the dump has an abundance of fuel for fires. Therefore, to eliminate the fuel for fires, it is not possible at the landfill, but it in essence is composed of a variety of fuels. In terms of ignition for a fire, this too can come from many sources. The ignition can be from a spark or from extreme heat. Fires can sometimes start by the ignition from a simple piece of glass, which is inert material, but can refract light from the sun into extreme heat onto a surface that is good fuel, which is exposed to oxygen in the open air. Then, with sufficient additional fuel and oxygen, which are in abundant supply, the fire will escalate. Depending on the type of fuel, for example, dry bush, the fire can escalate very rapidly. Ignitions can also be man-made, for example, with a cigarette, or as confronted in the past by persons trying to ignite the landfill with a flare gun, or another source, and this can be accidental or intentional. In the case of the landfill, we have experienced that there are two ways to avoid or suppress fires, namely by cooling the heat and removing the ignition, such as with water or with other suppressant material, or by removing the abundance of oxygen, such as by applying cover with fill or another material. Removing the fuel is generally very difficult because the garbage is the fuel.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-
Hello, St. Martin. My name is Stephanie Medina, and I play football with the Walichi Women's Soccer team. I have represented St. Martin in many different games. For example, the Dutch Caribbean Women's Soccer Cup. I played against Bonaire, Aruba, and Curacao right here in this stadium. Sports matter to me because it makes me happy, it keeps me fit and healthy, and it is very fun. So I ask the business community to take on this challenge and help us rebuild our facilities. And I also ask the community to nominate the local businesses in your area and take on the challenge and step up for sport. Why? Because sports matter. Check out the Department of Sport Facebook page for more information. Hashtag sports matter, hashtag are you in?
On the walk for the cure by the CIBC Bank. I also want to say a special thank you to, of course, AUC, not only for this collaboration and cooperation and assistance, but also generally where health and health initiatives are concerned on St. Martin. Thank you so much. Today, I am actually here in the capacity of part of the supporting cast for this particular event, and I proudly declare myself in that role. Over the years that the CIBC has held this particular walk for the cure, as a person I have participated in many, if not all of them, definitely several walks. And I did so because I am an avid walker and I love to hike and whatever else have you, and it is because of that I, 7 years ago, founded the You Too Can Move organization, an organization focused on women's health and the encouragement to women to focus on their health. Many years ago, when I first got started, those of you who have not been on St. Martin for a very long time would remember the days of the Zumbaying Prime Minister. And because we started out, because I believe that in order to encourage persons to move and to move as much as they can, music and dance is one such way. But over the years, we have expanded to include all different types of movement that really speaks to women of all ages. And so our membership actually consists of women of all ages. And we use the opportunity of having them together to also focus on their own health and their responsibility for their own health as well. So again, we have also as a group participated in this walk and many others. This year, as Petro indicated, the Prime Minister and I have actually endorsed this walk and encouraged us to, as a nation, create that awareness, create that encouragement to person. But also, as Dr. Jackson and Dr. Delgado stated, we need data. We need data in able to focus on the areas of cancer that are most prevalent in our community and probably regionally as well, because you definitely will have that snapshot of the regional situation. So again, I'm glad to be here, I'm glad to participate, I'm glad to endorse, and the You Too Can Move Foundation, by the way, one of its original members when she relocated to Curacao has formed a You Too Can Move Curacao. So we have a You Too Can Move SXM and we have a You Too Can Move CUR. And a delegation of You Too Can Move Curacao will be here for this walk as well. And will be joining us, So, and again, I think it's about encouragement and it's about putting figuratively and literally your money where your mouth is. So if you're going to encourage persons to be moving, to contribute, then you gotta move. Even when you don't feel like moving, you gotta be moving. That's the example. And that's what I try to portray. And in the same way, in encouraging and endorsing this walk, I also want others to be part of it. So again, thanks for making me part of the supporting cast. It's a role that I gladly fulfill. And thank you, AUC, for again, being part of things that matter to this community.
Hello, St. Martin. My name is Jose Helaga and I play basketball. I have organized basketball events in St. Martin. Sport matters to me because it makes everybody come together in unity. So I challenge the businesses community to step up for sports and help us rebuild and repair our facility. I'm also asking the community to nominate local businesses in your area to take on the challenge and step up for sport because sports matter. Check out the Department of Sports SXM Facebook page for more information. Hashtag Sport Matter, hashtag Are You In?
The Department of Communication, also known as DCOM, is a multimedia service department under the Ministry of General Affairs. DCOM also serves as Emergency Support Function 8 before, during, and after a disaster, once the Emergency Operations Center has been activated by the Prime Minister. Once an official weather bulletin has been received from Met Department St. Martin, it is immediately channeled through the various media operations executed by DCOM. The weather bulletin in its written form can be accessed by the general public via the official government website stmartingov.org. If you're a Facebook user and you have liked and follow our Facebook page, facebook.com/SXMGOV, you will receive a notification that the weather bulletin has been posted. You can also follow our St. Martin Gov TV production of official national messages delivered by the Prime Minister as chairperson of the Emergency Operations Center via the official YouTube channel of the Government of St. Martin at youtube.com/Government of St. Martin. The messages also can be accessed live via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM or audio on demand via the Government of St. Martin SoundCloud that is posted to our Facebook page as soon as updates are issued about weather or government operations before, during, and after a storm or hurricane. The Department of Communication understands that during any type of disaster, communication is critical. So we encourage the general public to pay close attention to the official channels of information provided by the Government of St. Martin via DCOM so that you are properly informed and alerted to any approaching threats and for up-to-date and accurate instructions to follow before, during, and after any disaster.
DCOM is the Department of Communication, and they are responsible for communicating the vision, news, the reports, updates, you name it, to the people of St. Martin on behalf of the Government of St. Martin. We do use DCOM as, or we have to use DCOM as our official source of giving out information. For example, the weather, if there's a tropical storm coming in, if schools need to be closed. We urge the public to ensure that they stay tuned to the various opportunities that DCOM offer. For example, the radio station, 107.9, they have a Facebook page. We also use press briefing. I believe they have also other programs to disseminate information to the public. I do know that at times we battle with social media, and we run with a lot of other stories, but I urge the public and to take this opportunity to use DCOM as the official source to get information as it relates to decisions of the government of St. Martin. We have invested a lot in DCOM, therefore I will take this opportunity as well to ask other members of the press, of the media, to take the opportunity and use this setting to come and ask questions to the Council of Ministers. Thank you.